These are the archangels, who are over the angels, and they harmonize all existence, heavenly and earthly. And angels who are over seasons and years, and angels who are over rivers and the ocean, and angels who are over the fruits of the earth and every other kind of grass, and who give every kind of food to every kind of living thing, and angels who record all human souls and all their deeds and their lives before the faces of the Lord. And in the midst of them are 7 phoenixes, and 7 cherubim, and 7 six-winged beings, having but one voice, and singing in unison, and their song is not to be reported, and the Lord is delighted by his footstool. And those men lifted me up from there, and they carried me up to the 7th heaven, and I saw there an exceptionally great light, and all the fiery armies of the great archangels, and the incorporeal forces, and the dominions, and the origins, and the authorities, the cherubim, and the seraphim, and the many-eyed thrones, and regiments, and the shining Otanium stations. And I was terrified, and I trembled with great fear. But those men picked me up, and led me into their midst, and they said to me, Be brave, Enoch, don't be frightened. And they showed me the Lord from a distance, sitting on his exceedingly high throne. For what is on the 10th heaven, since the Lord is present there? And on the 10th heaven is God, and he is called in the Hebrew language Arabath. And all the heavenly armies came and stood on the 10 steps, corresponding to their ranks, and they did obeisance to the Lord. And then they went to their places in joy and merriment, and in immeasurable light, singing songs with soft and gentle voices, while presenting the liturgy to him gloriously. And they do not leave by night, nor depart by day, standing in front of the face of the Lord, and carrying out his will. Cherubim and seraphim standing all around his throne, 6-winged and many-eyed, and they cover his entire throne, singing with gentle voice in front of the face of the Lord, Holy, 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 Lord, Lord Sabaoth, heaven and earth are full of his glory. And when I had seen all these things, these men said to me, Enoch, up to this point we have been commanded to travel with you. And the men went away from me, and from then on I did not see them any more. But I remained alone at the edge of the 7th heaven, and I became terrified, and I fell on my face, and I said in myself, Woe to me, what has happened to me? And the Lord sent one of his glorious ones, the archangel Gabriel, and he said to me, Be brave, Enoch, don't be frightened. Stand up and come with me, and stand in front of the face of the Lord forever. And I answered him and said, Woe to me, O my Lord, my soul is departed from me from fear and horror. And call to me the 2 men who brought me up to this place, because I have put on my confidence in them, and with them I will go before the face of the Lord. And Gabriel carried me up, like a leaf carried up by the wind. He moved me along, and put me down in front of the face of the Lord. And I saw the 8th heaven, which is called in the Hebrew language Muzaloth, the changer of the seasons, of dry and of wet, and the 12 zodiacs which are above the 7th heaven. And I saw the 9th heaven, which in the Hebrew language is called Kukhavim, where the heavenly houses of the 12 zodiacs are. And on the 10th heaven, Aravath, I saw the view of the face of the Lord, like iron made burning hot in a fire and brought out, and it emits sparks and is incandescent. Thus even I saw the face of the Lord. But the face of the Lord is not to be talked about. It is so very marvelous and supremely awesome, supremely frightening. And who am I to give an account of the incomprehensible being of the Lord and of his face, so extremely strange and indescribable? And how many are his commands and his multiple voice, and the Lord's throne supremely great and not made by hands, and the choir stalls all around him, the cherubim and the seraphim armies, and their never silent singing. Who can give an account of his beautiful appearance, never changing and indescribable, and his great glory? And I fell down flat and did obeisance to the Lord. And the Lord with his own mouth said to me, Be brave, Enoch, don't be frightened. Stand up and stand in front of my face forever. And Michael, the Lord's archistratege, lifted me up and brought me in front of the face of the Lord. And the Lord said to his servants, sounding them out, Let Enoch join in and stand in front of my face forever. And the Lord's glorious ones did obeisance and said, Let Enoch yield in accordance with your word, O Lord. And the Lord said to Michael, Go, and extract Enoch from his earthly clothing, and anoint him with my delightful oil, and put him into the clothes of my glory. And so Michael did just as the Lord had said to him. He anointed me, and he clothed me, and the appearance of that oil is greater than the greatest light, and its ointment is like sweet dew, and its fragrance myrrh. And it is like the rays of the glittering sun. And I looked at myself, and I had become like one of his glorious ones, and there was no observable difference. And the Lord summoned one of the archangels, Vrevoil by name, who is swifter in wisdom than the other archangels, and who records all the Lord's deeds. And the Lord said to Vrevoil, Bring out the books from my storehouses, and fetch a pen for speed writing, and give it to Enoch, and read him the books. And Vrevoil hurried and brought me the books, a knife and ink, and he gave me the pen for speed writing from his hand. And he was telling me all the things of heaven and earth and sea, and all the elements and the movements of their courses, and the living thunder, the sun and the moon and the stars, and their courses and their changes, and seasons, and years, and days, and hours, and the coming of the clouds, and the blowing of the winds, and the number of the angels, and the songs of the armed troops, and every kind of human thing, and every kind of language and singing and human life and rules and instructions and sweet-voiced singing, and everything that is appropriate to learn. And Vrevoil instructed me for 30 days and 30 nights, and his mouth never stopped speaking. And as for me, I did not rest writing. All the symbols and all the creatures. And when I had finished 30 days and 30 nights, Vrevoil said to me, These things, whatever I have taught you, whatever you have learned, and whatever we have written down, you sit down and write. All the souls of men, whatever of them are not yet born, and their places prepared for eternity. For all the souls are prepared for eternity, both before the composition of the earth. And I sat down for a second period of 30 days and 30 nights, and wrote everything accurately. And I wrote 366 books. And the Lord called me, and he said to me, Enoch, sit to the left of me with Gabriel. And I did obeisance to the Lord. And the Lord spoke to me, Enoch, beloved, whatever you see and whatever things are standing still or moving about which were brought to perfection by me, and I myself will explain it to you. Before anything existed at all, from the very beginning, whatever exists I created from the non-existent, and from the invisible to the visible. Listen, Enoch, and pay attention to these words of mine. For not even to my angels have I explained my secrets, nor related to them their origin, nor my endlessness and inconceivableness as I devised the creatures, as I am making them known to you today. For before any visible things had come into existence, I, the One, moved around in the invisible things like the sun, from east to west, and from west to east. But the sun has rest in himself. Yet I did not find rest, because everything was not yet created. And I thought up the idea of establishing a foundation to create a visible creation. And I commanded the lowest things, let one of the invisible things descend visibly. And Adawil descended, extremely large. And I looked at him, and behold, in his belly he had a great light. And I said to him, Disintegrate yourself, Adawil, and let what is born from you become visible. And he disintegrated himself, and there came out a very great light. And I was in the midst of the great light, and light out of light is carried thus. And the great age came out, and it revealed all the creation which I had thought to create. And I saw how good it was. And I placed for myself a throne, and I sat down on it. And then to the light I spoke, You go up higher than the throne, and be solidified much higher than the throne, and become the foundation for the highest things. And there is nothing higher than the light, except nothing itself. And again I bowed myself, and looked upward from my throne. And I called out a second time to the very lowest things, and I said, Let one of the invisible things come out visibly, solid. And Archos came out, solid and heavy, and very red. And I said, Open yourself up, Archos, and let what is born from you become visible. And he disintegrated himself, and there came out an age, dark, very large, carrying the creation of all lower things. And I saw how good it was. And I said to him, Come down low and become solid, and become the foundation of the lowest things. And it came about. And he came down and became solid, and he became the foundation of the lowest things. And there is nothing lower than the darkness, except nothing itself.